This is Thailand Terrestrial Broadcasting coming to you from Bangkok. Greetings from sunnyish Bangkok, where severe heat is expected throughout the day. We'll see a high of 95 degrees, 58% humidity, and a 10% chance of rain in the evening. The air quality is moderately miasmic. The street cats are wide-eyed but inert. The soy dogs are catching nothing more than hello, welcome blast of AC on the steps outside of your local 7-Eleven. The post-Sangran hangover is in full swing. Fully 11% of the expatriate community are strung out across overly firm beds in post-coital bliss. 27% are struggling with feelings of post-bender anxiety, and 0 foreign nationals died of cyanide poisoning in a plush hotel in Pathum Wan. Now that housekeeping is out of the way, let's get down to business. This is my first YouTube video. I don't know anything about making or editing videos, so yeah, this should be fun. Like many Thailand-based exile, global platforms were made to scream into the void. The algorithm anoints a blessed few. Even then, you've got to bring something to the table, lest you too sink into the digital bath, straight down to the Mariana Trench. Perhaps that's why I feel like I'm suffering from the conversational equivalent of the Three Stooges syndrome that afflicted Mr. Burns. You may remember that episode of The Simpsons, where Mr. Burns discovered he not only had every disease known to man, but a few wholly new to medical science. Due to the myriad afflictions being in perfect balance, Mr. Burns did not die, though something as slight as a breeze, his doctor warned, was enough to tip the scales. To demonstrate the point, the doctor took a bunch of oversized novelty germs and attempted to stuff them through a doorway all at once. They inevitably got stuck in the frame. Right now, I feel like all of the virulent thoughts born in my fevered dreams are likewise trying to come through my pie hole all at the same time. And rather than speak, I'm choking on them. Yes, my tongue is tied around my throat like the ligature of a garrote. And yet, I clearly can't seem to shut the hell up. Call it the curse of logorrhea. Speaking is one thing, saying something is an entirely different matter. In my defense, it's been a long time since I was allowed to say much of anything at all. I guess I can thank Trump for one thing. By liberating me from the plight of the working man and kicking my ass to the breadline, he also freed my speech. No more social media policy for me. Yay. My belated arrival to YouTube is the result of my refusing to give up the ghost of the written word. Writing has always been my passion. Not one I cultivate it in any meaningful way, but a passion all the same. I did write a book, though it's one that neither you nor anyone you respect has ever heard of or read. Likewise, my recently kaputted career as a make-believe journalist was born from a love of words. I was never particularly interested in broadcasting. To appropriate Wilco, I shake like a toothache when I hear myself speak. Viewers would likewise tremble if you ever cast my face across their TVs. Yeah, newspapers were my bag. From my time as a student in the UK, when I used to pick up a copy of The Guardian and read it over my morning tea, broadsheets came to symbolize a gateway to the wider world and a world of knowledge. I still think that's true, which is why the death of newspapers fits into the broader hollowing out of all things. Ironically, I spent most of my career at broadcasters, second-rate broadcasters. I wasn't particularly capable and took on whatever work was available. I only actually worked at one newspaper, the Bangkok Post, here in heat-waved Thailand. Oh yeah, Thailand. There's a topic for a nascent YouTube channel. This one, to be exact. The land of smiles is a sweet muse of mine and so many other lost boys Peter Panning their way to the end of the night. I just returned for the umpteenth time in January. The Thailand I left is inevitably gone, and right here, all at once, as it has and always will be. In theory, I should have something to say about all of that. Although YouTube is already awash in enough Thailand-related slop to sink Bangkok long before 2050. Looks like it's straight to the watershed for me, least I dilute the muck. My off-and-on history in Thailand spans 20 years, with numerous gaps punctuating very distinct chapters of my life. My first girlfriend stateside was Thai, so was my first love. They are not the same person. Living in Moscow for way too many years, I took a trip to Phuket with a Russian girlfriend years back, sitting in a hotel lobby, reading the Bangkok Post, drinking a cup of coffee and basking in the tropical heat, I first developed the romantic idea that I could leave the frozen hell of terminally inhospitable Russia and write news from the beach. A few years later I did just that. Kinda, even if I overshot the shore and landed in a swampy delta instead. Thailand is where I was when COVID hit, where I wasn't when COVID turned half my country fully insane, and the place I dreamed of being as the last 5 years of my life became a Dali-esque melted clock of aging without any sense of progress, space, or time. Like many, or perhaps none of you, depending on how many people end up seeing this, I sought out a lot of Thailand-related content during those long days and nights of the soul back home. The bulk of what I found is painfully vacuous. And no, I'm not just talking about the mind-numbing Pattaya live streams or the infinitely same variations on bar girl themes. Don't get me wrong, that stuff also sucks, but at least there's the rubbernecking appeal of the car crash, the failed promise of Celine-esque decadence, the cautionary tales of lives tragically misspent. At least there's something Bukowski or any other barfly could sit back, watch, and chuckle at. Okay, not all of the time. Call them sexpats or passport bros. There's definitely a cohort of individuals, some young, some old, for whom Thailand is nothing more than a rabbit warren of shitty bars to get blitzed and banged in. They are the apotheosis of sad divorced dad energy and delusion, or never touched incel angst. Thailand is just an afterthought in their jog in the hedonic treadmill. A cold calculus of perceived comfort rather than any cultural affection is the only thing keeping them here. Though the Philippines and Cambodia are always calling with their cheaper beer, rent, and babes. Just go to the forums and every other place where they congregate in their loneliness to bitch every last day till death. Somewhere better, cheaper, always beckons beyond the air-conditioned room in Isan or the shoebox Pattaya condominium they hold themselves up in. Their vacuity is where the Venn diagram overlaps with their inevitable antipode, the beautiful brigade of beigeish blight pumping out influencer clips that look like Crest toothpaste commercials in exotic locales. Ironically, most of what this group represents on a cultural level is exactly what the sexpats are running away from. Healthy living, forced positivity, and namaste nonsense are their MO. I'm personally less concerned about the culture war angle dividing those cohorts. For me, it's their intersection, the gaping nothingness at the heart of it all. Pretty people with selfie sticks saying a whole lot of nothing about places they never even tried to understand largely sums up what I've gleaned from their content. I've even encountered a few of them in the wild, walking and talking, or otherwise setting up their iPhone stands at beaches and bars. It's funny, seeing a pretty enough girl in a not so pretty haunt you frequented for years, squawking into their phones about a place they never actually bothered to make a memory in. They came here because it's another Pokemon in the content trail. They will not recount the tales of the shady characters who used to frequent this riverside dive, or the time they nearly fell through the rotten wooden floorboards in the shitter, teetering on stilts over the Chao Phraya. They will not tell you about the time they got laid there, the time an Italian charmer stole their heart and their purse. There will be no stories of Sangsom sunsets with locals, followed by breeze-blown motorbike flight through the night in this Blade Runner city of ours. There is no story to be told, no sense of continuity. Content demanded you hit record before and not after you had gone about the business of living. I'm here at what's it called again bar here in sunny Bangkok, and let me tell you about the price of the drinks, the food, the view, the river, the. There is nothing definite at the end of that article. There is merely a person who has no idea why they are where they are, and yet telling others to go there all the same. Maybe vibes? Yeah, vibes. It's a peek over the fourth wall for the worst show on earth. Well, that might be true if you were the audience for their content. You're more like a vagrant who wandered onto the set. Security, security. Someone get him, all of them, out of here. There's a beautiful view to be shown and sold, and your ugly mug has no place in it. No, you and the other folks engaged in the business of living your lives are actually in the way. Real life, verisimilitude, is an obstacle, not the goal. You see the annoyed looks when people wander into frame or talk just a little too loudly within earshot. They are selling a vision of a place and time they themselves have no desire to immerse themselves in. I honestly don't know if these folks are ever anywhere at all. As Sartre wrote in No Exit, hell is other people, in your shot. I once had a guy scream at me and my lady friend for getting in the shot as I rowed a boat through Binjikiti Park. Public space? Forget about it. It was all about him. It's like the recursive process of watching 1,000 people trying to crop each other out of their photographs on the beach. What you get is 1,000 photos showing 1,000 individuals in paradise. Stitch them all together, and you might get something closer to the truth. It's all part and parcel of the Instagramification of travel content. They are unreal estate agents selling digital castles in the cloud, and they are legion. My Facebook and Instagram feeds are chock full of their offal. That happened when Zuck & Co. decided that I in fact wasn't interested in the lives of my friends and family. Okay, they've got me there. But it wasn't always that way. I don't know how big the market is for cute folks with no knowledge of Thai cuisine telling you the best place to eat after trying 5 of Bangkok's 32,000 restaurants. I don't know who wants to listen to a person who's been in the country for a few years, if not months, telling you whether or not Koh Tao is still worth visiting, how a few thousand recently issued DTV visas are ruining a condominium market that's been on shaky grounds for a decade, or whether tourists drawn from the selfsame well are ruining Thailand. Breaking news! Toby, a 25-year-old influencer from Brighton, is leaving Thailand because there are too many people exactly like Toby in Thailand. Here's Titipon with the weather. A surprisingly large number of the vexed influencer class mistake Thailand in its COVID sandbox, with the knockdown rents and empty beaches, as the status quo rather than an aberration. Thailand is being overrun with Russians, says the person who doesn't know that Russians were among the top 3 tourist arrivals more than a decade ago. Here's why mass tourism is ruining Thailand in 2025, says the person who doesn't realize that Thailand saw 5 million more tourist arrivals in 2019 than 2024. It makes sense. They arrived in 2022. Don't get me wrong, mass tourism is ruining, and yet sustaining Thailand. And there's some pretty goddamn complicated political, societal, and historical reasons why the country has placed 20% of its GDP in the tourism basket. And there's a hell of a lot of reasons why replacing that with other forms of industry could upset an apple cart filled with TNT on the rusted out roof of a fireworks factory. People who parachute in with little time on the ground and goldfish attention spans certainly won't be the ones illuminating the world on such matters. They care about their condo price, the price of being on the piss, the price of buying women's attention, and the ability to maintain an illusion about paradise on beaches for me and not for thee. Likewise, YouTubers who moved here as digital nomads seeking a lower cost of living love to complain about other uninspired YouTubers who moved here as digital nomads seeking a lower cost of living. It all reminds me of the old Bill Burr comedy bit, which can be summarized thusly: you are not stuck in traffic, you are traffic. Thailand doesn't suck because of other tourists. Thailand sucks because of you. And maybe me too. The notable exception to the rule was Steve Ross with an E in his postcards from Turtle Beach. Even when he gave up on his variety show format, stopped reenacting his old short stories via toys at Boontong's Beach Bar, and went the path of least resistance, camera aimed at nearly a full set of teeth, loquaciously rattling off soliloquies without any editing. What he had to say, and how he said it, had intelligence, insight, and pathos. There are perhaps a handful of folks who even tried to do what Steve did, but guess what? Based on their view counts, they clearly didn't need to. The Chinese My2 filter-fied fake plastic tree version of life rules the digital roost. People who have come to tell you something real about love, life, and loss in Thailand? Get out of here. As bland, as soulless as they are, it's obvious more than a few of these influencers are making a living. I guess like anything else, the winning personalities will win out. Look, I get it. These videos are a means to an end. People want to make bank living the dream. Some of them develop the technical prowess to make slickly edited clips, game the algorithm with a perfectly annoying thumbnail, eyes cartoonishly wide, mouth agape look of mock surprise, coupled with a clickbait title, and voila, tens, perhaps hundreds of thousands of views are theirs. Walk and talk your way out of a 9 to 5 in paradise. Keep on the jet-set track to every winter-proof corner of the world. They're just like the shitcoin barons and live-streaming lunatics begging to go to jail. The reward of the top 0.1% incentivizes the rest to chase societal ruin. Yes, content makers are gonna make content. Pretty places, lo-fi beats, and bleached white smiles that make the enamel on my teeth hurt. Or substitute that with boss hog jowls, a sweat-stained polo, breathless delivery, and an Isan wife's 1,000-yard stare in the background. If your audience is composed of like-minded people who view Thailand, Vietnam, Bali, and every other destination in Southeast Asia as an interchangeable backdrop to take selfies and reenact your own version of the tropical Bali high lifestyle, if not a country masquerading as a beer garden cabaret where one goes to get blown and blitzed. What's the point of exploring depths? There clearly is a vastly larger market for that than whatever the hell it is I'm trying to do here. But for me, the dreams of gutter snipes and granola gourmands are all the same sort of pleasant hell. Nothing is worse than serving the algorithm over personal authenticity. Travel writers used to be just that, writers. People who observed and tried to distill a world wholly unlike their own into words. Sometimes they managed to create transcendent dreamscapes by surveying random slices of the human condition through their own slanted vista on the world. Some of them found impenetrable locales proved the best places to find and communicate buried truths about themselves and others. Maybe they got it all wrong, but at least the medium demanded effort. Even if the medium did not give you absolute truth, it did give you art. Gatekeepers aren't always a bad thing. Better to have one man saying something than 10,000 barking nothing. And this world of content sure does produce a whole lot of nothing. Sure, only one guy got to write the first Lonely Planet Thailand guide, but if you ever met Joe Cummings, you'd quickly realize why he was the right guy for the job. Anthony Bourdain's alcoholism and inveterate love of the demi-monde was largely whitewashed from the hagiography they sell to white liberal women who worship him, but goddamn that man knew how to make good TV. Those wondering how he willfully checked out early forgot the first rule of being a man like Bourdain. You never get to live in the dreams you weave for others. I cannot tell you if the next Bourdain swimming upstream against the algorithm will rise above the slop. And trust me, I know I ain't the next Bourdain. I'm simply a man who wants something real, something that bleeds. I wish I could tell you I lived a life like the one John Swain portrayed in River of Time. For him, Cambodia and Vietnam were already done by the time I was born. That's a theme we all hear a lot. Hell, you read A Woman of Bangkok, written in the 1950s, and the patron of an upcountry brothel bemoans how it's all gone. For him as well, things were better 20 years ago. All of us, all of the time, are bemoaning the passing of our own lives. But rather than stare at death and all he promises to take, we project. The very places we run to escape boredom, that gnawing feeling that our lives are slipping away from us, inevitably lose their luster and novelty. We notice everyone else like ourselves, chasing the same lie. We see the failed attempts to Super Mario Brother our way up the falling grains of sand and back up into the top half of the hourglass. Tick, tock, tick, tock. No, I don't have great art for you, nor a great voice. I'm simply here to finger paint with my own blood as we spiral down the mortal coil into the abyss. Truth be told, I can't say all that much about Thailand either. But perhaps I can say a thing or two about what happens when a neurotic romantic with his ear to the ground gets his life tangled up in the liana of the land of smiles in search of light amidst all of this darkness. In the end, I might be the only audience for me. All of my writing is a love letter to myself. It's the only way to keep me from feeling so alone. I do think that's enough. It has to be. Sometimes we have to write the songs that we want to sing. So here I am with my chorus of one. And if there's a tropical canopy climber or two who gets what the hell I'm trying to say, nice to meet you, and welcome to the best place on earth. No one gets out of here alive.